What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. This is Lone Wolf, and in this video, it's all about Torghast. All right, we're gonna talk about how to increase your chances to successfully complete the twisted corridors. All right. So with that being said, let's get into it.
Our gaze is shifted upwards to the sky.
Welcome everyone. Twisting Corridors was released on Tuesday, and as long as they are, I've been having fun trying out different builds and trying to solo each layer. If you guys are interested in watching some of my Twisted Corridors gameplay, definitely check out my Twitch channel where I spammed a few layers. As of current, I have completed layer 6 with an 201 item level and a total of 7 deaths combined throughout all the layers, with half of them being from simple mistakes like falling from a chain or cliff. Now, I'm going to finish the layers without a doubt, but at this point I realize that nothing is going to change in these layers except mob health. The higher you go, the longer the fights, and the more room for mistakes. So at the higher end, it's all about knowing the mechanics and making sure you get the right set of anima powers. I've come to understand that MM hunters at least only have one anima build, period. So either way, by the end, unless you purposely stray off this build, every MM will feel the same. Before I continue, I want to say that MM should receive new and more interesting options for Torghast to actually have different playstyles that can help us secure a successful run, because having the same anima powers for every layer, whether it's normal Torghast or Twisting Corridor, gets old really quickly. And being that I've already done all the different layouts, which in themselves also feel repetitive, this is very important. Also, if you're new to the channel, we're all about that marksmanship hunter, all right? Whether it's PvE, PvP, random stuff, we're here to show you some MM action and pair it up with some nice chill music. All right, so definitely subscribe if you're into that, and like this video if you enjoy it. Okay, so let's start off with the baseline talent build for marksmanship hunters. All right, the first line is easy: Master Marksman. So the reasons Master Marksman wins out are 3 things. 1, the other 2 talents are single target oriented and will not be used effectively throughout each floor. Most encounters, except a few gatekeepers and bosses, will be AoE oriented. Secondly, these talents also eat a lot of your globals, where you can for sure fit in better options. Third, it's all about heavy damage. Even if you get a choice to gain one, don't. The second tier might be an interesting choice if you've been playing with Explosive Shot in both PvP and PvE, solely because Explosive Shot is not the choice here for a few reasons. That doesn't mean it isn't useful or a good choice, but the damage you gain from Careful Aim's burst throughout each floor is huge. Pair it with Aim Shot's anima power, it becomes the sole choice. With that being said, if you do get the option to choose Explosive Shot after you start the run, then please choose it, as it is still strong. Barrage is invaluable, as managing the number of targets is huge, being that you won't kill entire packs with one burst setup anymore at higher layers. Also, a key point here is that there are enemies in each floor that are priority and need to die ASAP. Careful Aim will undoubtedly make it easier for you to kill these priority targets. The third tier is really up to you. Personally, I like Camel because I can heal in between packs, since you can only use Exhilaration every 2 minutes unless you choose its anima power. At higher floors though, Exhilaration will not be your savior. Everything can one-shot you. Feign Death will be your emergency button, so will your Aspect of the Turtle. The fourth tier, I find Streamline to be really good for its AoE potential. At higher tiers, if you're struggling with multiple enemies at once, then you can definitely go Chimera Shot. If you get the option to gain steady focus, I only recommend it if the other two options against it are lackluster, or you're at a higher layer where things take a while to die, and or you're running a haste build. The level 40 tier, Post Haste, is your go-to. Binding Shackles may appear to be interesting, but in higher tiers you will die if you get touched, and not having Post Haste is a much bigger problem with all the roots and slows that are put on you. The 6th row talents, Double Tap, is the only baseline choice, with lethal shots being an okay option if you get its anima power within a Torghast run. And Deadeye is just pure barfufu. And for the last talent row, Lock and Load is huge when it comes to burst in both single target and AoE, and it procs often enough to be worthwhile in all builds. However, Volley is very nice for AoE burst, but won't cut it at higher floors when you need single target damage versus elites, rares, and bosses. Calling the shots is an interesting choice for more overall bursts while climbing the floors, but I only recommend it if you're Kyrian and have the Call of the Wild legendary. It gives you very high burst every single minute if you manage your cooldowns correctly. Speaking of legendaries, both Serpent Stalker's Trickery and Surging Shots are pretty good. With Kraven's Stratagem, there aren't too many debuffs that can F you up, and you may get it as an option during the run, so Kraven's Stratagem is mute. Same with Soulforged Embers, as it may appear as an anima power, and it has its use when going with Tar Trap powers. As I said before, Call of the Wild is an interesting choice as you gain a lot more burst windows within each floor and during encounters. This is only worthwhile if you choose careful aim. The other legendaries are too niche and provide little benefit during boss encounters. Now let's talk about anima powers. There are a few noteworthy anima powers that you will get acquainted with as you climb. These are the Aim Shot, Kill Shot, Hunter's Mark powers, which increases their damage or insta-kill via Deadeye Satchel. Soulsteel Pinion is basically mandatory at higher layers. Tar Trap anima powers that increase movement reduction. Sigil of Skoldis, which increases you and your pet's damage when using a trap. Chelonian or Chelonian Chest is so useful that I'd say at least get one stack of it. And Elithium Lantern if you don't care about losing jump. I need my jump, so I don't use this. These are the go-to as they raise your damage to a substantial level versus other damaging anima powers. Now, it is highly important that while extra damage is something you want to gain as you climb, after layer 4 of the Twisting Corridors, you will also have to gain HP and self-sustainability. Elithium Lantern on its own, or paired with your Ferocity's Pet's Leech, is all you need for self-sustain as you continue to grow in power. The next important anima power that definitely has its use against elite casters is the one that heals you and your pet, since for some reason, if your pet is dead, which will happen all the time at higher layers, its tick will insta-res your pet and allow the pet to taunt off of you. Now I can 100% sit here and tell you which powers are the best and which are the worst, but in practice, every power has a use and will scale in value depending on many factors, including the choice itself. So for example, if you're on a floor that you find the enemies soak a lot more damage than feels comfortable for progression, then you know you have to choose power increasing animals. If your damage feels right, but you feel that you and your pet are getting bodied, then go more HP. If you feel good on both power and health, then go for what emphasizes the build you're running with. For example, if you're running a Tar Trap heavy build, then Soulfire Embers may help your damage. That's it. You must look at the now, what you gained before, and what you will encounter next, all at the same time to make your choice. Bonus tip: when you're at a vendor floor, look right next to the vendor, and the little hologram on the floor will be the next boss you will face. This is important since knowing the strat for that boss might change your animal choices in the future. Now for pets. Should we use a pet or should we go lone wolf? The answer is both. You can go lone wolf if damage is all you need and your kiting is legit, especially with the tar trap powers. But for time-saving purposes, using lust, bursting down entire groups, saving your fingers from mashing movement keys to kite, or even if you get the animal power that makes your pet insta-kill mall rats, as it saves dozens of minutes at higher floors. And for some boss fights, you should 100% use a pet whenever you feel it's needed. Fully expect your pet to die on almost every pull at higher layers within higher floors, with or without Forsworn Feather. Let's talk about setups and cooldown management. So in order for you to set up, you must manage your CDs. It's intertwined. If you pull a large group with no binding shot or no burst cooldown, then you will get your ass munched on. This is a fundamental law. Don't go into an encounter without understanding what you can or cannot do. So as you go along, choose your targets depending on what you have and it will go smooth. But basically, for setups, you misdirect to your pet, set your pet with the heal as you send it to the primary target, and as it reaches its location, drop it like it's hot. Things to account for is how fast you can burst your targets and if you have the fogged crystal anima power. If you have it, then you're safe to burst and not worry about your pet dying in the first few globals. But if you don't have fogged crystal, then get ready to drop a binding shot soon during burst as your pet will die at higher layers. Once you get to 2 stacks of the tar trap anima power, then you can feel free to use this on CD and keep your enemies from reaching you and forgoing the need to use a pet. Though I'd argue that bursting with your pet is safer because you can reposition your targets in a different location by misdirecting and moving your pet with follow or move pet. Also, setups change depending on your powers. The most impactful power we have is Soul Steel Pinion, even more so when paired with Sigil of Skoldis. So you will have to adjust your opener as it will be its strongest during careful aim windows to allow max damage potential. So I drop a trap right in front of the enemy, but not too close enough to aggro them, but close enough that when I do aggro them using a binding shot, as they move towards me, they will get rooted by the binding shot and proc the tar trap, which will net me an insane damage boost, dude. Insane. At the end of the day, regardless of what or how you like doing things, the entire playthrough revolves around you staying alive and the enemy dying. And since Hunters has limited powers, this is the most impactful way to play Torghast in the twisting corridors with Tar Trap being meta. It allows us to have complete uptime on the enemy, even outranging casters because of our extra range from our mastery, while completely negating virtually every mechanic if done right. It's a little on the cheese side, but like I said, our powers are limited, with some being mandatory at high layer levels and floors. Now, people will often say, take it slow, and I agree with that. But you also do not want to make the run more than 2 hours, alright? So be sure to grab some movement speed increases, and it's really up to you which ones are good. Noteworthy is Forsworn Feather, as it gradually increases your speed, but is best to gain at lower floors so you don't have to spam disengage to gain its stacks. Using your pet or having tar trap binding shot setups will also hasten their playthrough. At higher layers and floors, almost every mob becomes challenging enough to take it slow, but what slow really means is CD management. With proper CD management, you can pull what you can while your CDs come back up to help with bigger pools and keep on going with the flow. So a quick overall summary. Always continue to gain power. Increase your health. Look out for the stronger mandatory anima powers. Balance all the anima powers once you reach a good baseline. And manage your pets and cooldowns, and you will attain that layer 8 in no time. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this brief overview of MM Hunters in Twisted Corridors and Torghast. Feel free to leave a comment if you have a tip or some feedback for myself and viewers. And definitely give the video a like if you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, but like my content, then go ahead and subscribe. With that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.